There are very few days left for the new year, and if you followed me or you've known my work for a while, you know how much I love this time of the year. It's this season where I naturally slow down, I pause, I reflect on the year, look at what has worked, what didn't, and set new intentions and goals. So, December is such a powerful window. It's this in between space between the old and the new. The old is not ended yet and the new has not begun. So, it's this month where you can slow down and reset for the new year so that you enter the new year with this very different sort of aligned, inspired, motivated energy. And of course, one of my most favorite and the most well known parts of this process is making a vision board, which I'm sure a lot of y'all are already familiar with. But we want to go a little beyond the vision board. We want to also set new intentions, new feeling based goals, new identity, which is one of the most important things you can do. And also just clear out the old, reflect on what's happened, because that is what forms the basis of creating the board. So I want to just walk you through my process of how I do this year and reset, so that you can take something out of it. You can apply some of or all of the parts of it to your own process, and mix and match and create your own yearly ritual that you can use every year to end the year on a good note and begin the new one with a lot of aligned energy. This is the Life Reimagined Podcast. I'm Aditi Goyal, and this is your space to explore growth, healing, and living life on your own terms. Because sometimes all it takes is one conversation to shift everything. And before we get started, I just want to tell you that what I'm sharing today is not about New Year resolutions. It's not writing down that I'm going to go to the gym on the 1st of Jan, or I'm going to start this diet on the 1st of Jan, or I'm going to start meditating from the 1st of Jan, because we know how that works. We know that we do that maybe for a week and then it just falls off because there's not enough momentum for it to survive. And these resolutions usually come from external pressure, or this sense of this is what you need to be doing. You need to look a certain way. You need to lose weight, or you need to go to the gym, you need to exercise. So it's coming from this external pressure and external push, not really from your from inside, not from within. Not It's not your soul's calling. And that is also why it doesn't last. That is also why it just dies in the first 2 weeks of the new year. So this whole process is different. It's a lot of introspection, reflection, and a complete energetic reset. And that's why it has two parts of it, where the first part is just closing the new year, which is where we do the introspection, the reflection, what worked, what didn't. And then we do the second bit of it, which is stepping into the new year. So now what new do I want to call in? What new do I want to create? So this is about preparing your inner world so that you have enough momentum before Jan even begins. You have that drive to make things happen, not because someone is telling you to, but because there is an internal shift already created. Because it's your inner world that writes your outer world, and reflection and introspection is how you rewrite the script. Yeah. So before again we go into this, I want you to pause and reflect on this question. If you had to describe how you want 2026 to feel in just two words, what would they be? So pause the video and let those words come to you. Don't overthink it. How do you want your 2026 to feel in just two words? And once you have your words, comment them below as a first step to put it into the external world. From your mind, it's sort of entering the 3D world for the first time when you're typing it out and you're kind of putting it out into the world. And these two words are your anchor points. So these become your North Star. So whenever you feel lost, you feel directionless, you don't know what to do, you don't know what goals to set, you come back to these two words. You come back to this intention that you've set about how you want 2026 to feel, and then you go from there. So, my two words for 2026 are expansion and adventure. So, I want 2026 to feel expansive and adventurous, and these are very simple anchors that the brain can remember very well. If I make it into a sentence, or if I, make a long list of things, then it gets hard, it gets overwhelming. But when I just pick two words, it's very easy for the brain to remember that, okay, if I want my 2026 to be adventurous and expansive, then what all do I need to be doing? So let's begin with the first part of the reset process. So, the very first thing that I will do to close the year and to reflect on what's happened is to just pull out my diary. This is where I write down all the to dos, all the meetings, all the dinners, or all the day to day things, the calendars basically, and then just go through it, month by month, reflect on what's happened, what's not. Of course, you're not going to sit and read everything, but just sort of go through it to see how much you've done, how far you've come, any highlights of the year. So you also can notice some patterns about how you're showing up or how you're doing things. And if you don't have a diary like this, you can also maybe just go through your phone, see your calendar, see what all you've gone through, what all you've done, see all the pictures maybe. And this might seem like a very simple and a very useless process, but it's actually very, very important to bring into awareness how the year has been, to just reflect, remind yourself of how far you've come, what all you've done, and also just feel grateful for whatever has happened through the year, all the trips you've taken, all the people you've met, all the key highlights. So it helps you feel the full year in a short amount of time. Just sort of reflect on that. And then, of course, you also ask yourself these questions. So the first one is, what is the biggest lesson this year has taught me? Um, and the second one is, who was I being this year? So you want to take a look at your most repeated thoughts, patterns, behaviors, and feelings, because that is your personality, that is your identity, right? And this is the most important part of any reset, to look at your identity. Who were you being this year? How did you show up at work? How did you show up in your family? How did you show up in relationships? How did you show up for your own self, for your own health? And what were your thoughts and behaviors and patterns? And so this is also not about judgment, and not about wanting to change it and wanting to be different. This is just about reflection. Just take a look at who you were both being this year, and then we do the changing part of it a little bit later. But for now, to start off with, just take a look in a very non-judgmental way at how you've traveled through this year. And these questions really help you understand what happened through the year, what shaped your year, beyond the surface, beyond the standard highlights and achievements and key things. So, because that moment of awareness can really change your direction. It's that when you realize that throughout the year, you have been someone who's always played small. You've always sort of been way too modest. You have downplayed yourself. You've not spoken, expansively about your work. You've kind of hid yourself. And that's when you realize that this is not what you want to carry for the next year. But maybe because of how I was this year, this is what happened. My business was at a certain level, it didn't go beyond that. Maybe I didn't make too many connections because I didn't talk about myself enough, or maybe I just played small. So, just an example, but this, what I'm trying to say is, this awareness can change your direction. Because if you're not aware of what you've done this year, then it's just going to unconsciously carry forward into the next one. If you don't know how you've been showing up, you're just going to unconsciously carry the same energy and then end up with the same results. right? Because it's your energy, your behaviors, your thought patterns that create your external world. And so it's very, very important to pause, slow down, take a look at what's going on, and then, if needed, shift it. And then after the reflection bit is the most fun part of this reset, which is where I make a win list. So this is where I just write down on a piece of paper 2025, and I list down every win, big or small, every achievement, every progress that I've made in this year. And this happens across categories. So personal growth, how I've evolved as a person, maybe I've become more peaceful, maybe I've learned to be more in the now, maybe I have learned to talk to people more fluently, whatever it might be, across relationships, across money, health, creativity, spirituality, all of these categories. And these wins are internal and external both, right? So externally, maybe I've had, say, an growth, or externally my business has really taken off and the numbers have really shot up. But internally, I've also changed in the way that I show up. Maybe I am more creative, maybe I've learned to speak up for myself, maybe I've stopped procrastinating, whatever it might be. So any win, internal or external, big or small, you just write it down. And this becomes your 2025 win list. And what this does is it really boosts your self esteem, your confidence, and your motivation to keep going. Right? It's one of the best feelings in the world to really look back, and see how far you've actually come. Because if you are anything like me, you're always focused on what's next, the next goal, the next milestone, the future, the planning. How do I get there? How do I get there? But when you actually look on the other side, you look at how far you've come, you look at the past, you compare yourself to who you were a year ago and who you are now. It's actually much more rewarding to do that. And it's not just rewarding, it's actually very, very important as well. Otherwise it leads to this never ending race, always this sense of waiting for the next goal, the next achievement, and you're never actually happy because you're always just chasing the next thing. So we are so quick to move on to the next thing that we just forget how much we've actually done. So this is a great process to do, to really anchor and realize how far you've come, celebrate yourself, be proud of yourself, because that energy is also going to create momentum to go further. So that is the part one where I'm closing the year doing all of the introspection. And then I move on to the second part where I open my energy for the new year. And the very first thing that I like to do for this is something called the Wheel of Life. So it's this very beautiful tool that is used to understand where or which category in life are you really working towards a lot, and which category are you almost ignoring, and what do you really want to focus on. Because there's so much that's going on, right? You want to improve your relationships, you want to improve your health, you want to improve your business, you want to spend more time with family, and then it gets overwhelming and you end up doing nothing. So it helps you really focus onto one particular thing, and do that and focus on that, to begin with, and then sort of reassess to where you stand, which area needs more focus, and then work on that. So I usually do the Wheel of Life twice a year, once at the beginning of the new year and one in the middle, to again reassess and then see what has shifted and then work on the next categories. So I've actually also created a very simple and easy course on this whole process of understanding which area of your life needs more attention, and then from there, sort of setting goals for different categories, and then unlearning certain beliefs, expanding your horizon, asking for more, and then setting your goals, and then making the vision board. Um, it also, of course, includes how to how to make it in a way that it actually works, so it blends in manifestation principles. And um, how do you set the goal in a way that it's not just stuck on the paper, but you actually feel the energy of it and it actually manifests. So do check that out if you're interested, because it takes this whole reset process much deeper and gives you a clear step by step process on what to do. Then what I do is I focus on my identity, right? Like I mentioned before, because identity is the most important part of this whole reset. So the biggest question that I want to ask myself is, what identity am I stepping into? How does this 2026 version of me think, act, and receive and feel? So, what I will usually do is I'll create a simple identity map which has three parts to it. So, you can take a piece of paper and divide it into three parts, or just take three separate pages for each. And you write down the thoughts that you want to be having, the behaviors and the actions that you want to be engaging in, and the feelings that you want to be feeling for 2026. Because that is your identity, right? Who you are being, how you are thinking, how you are acting, how you are feeling is what creates your identity. So, this helps you to just shift gears and start tuning into who you want to become, right? At least from the place of the neocortex, from the place of the so when I'm writing it down, the neural pathways are already beginning to change, and of course I need to feel into it to solidify it. I need to keep rehearsing it, I need to keep practicing it to solidify it. But the minute you start writing things down and you start thinking even about how you want to be, how you want to think, how you want to now behave and act, the shift already begins to take place. So this is about creating a different version of me, about a different identity. Because if you want a different year, then it has to start from a different version of you. If you are the same version of you, you have the same energy, you are going to create the same year. So if you want a different outcome, it has to change, it has to begin from the inside, where my energy changes and then my external reality follows. So once you're clear with the areas of life that need attention, and you're clear on the identity, how you want to think, act, and feel, writing down your goals becomes much more easier. And now it's not driven from an external sense of, you need to do this and you need to do that. It is coming more from inside, it's coming from your own self. And one of the most important things when writing down your goals is to include feeling based goals, not just achievement or outcome based goals. So, what I mean by that is not just a trip, or not just this much money in my account, or not just these many followers, or not, I'm leading this particular event, or I'm in this particular relationship, but also feeling based goals, which means that I want to feel freedom in this year, or I want to feel this sense of softness and playfulness in this year, for example, or I want to feel maybe luxurious this year, or I want to feel the sense of adventure this year. So these feeling based goals are what help charge your board, right? Because it might seem like you are chasing the money, the car, the relationship, the success, but what we really want is the feeling behind it, right? We want to feel happy, we want to feel abundant, we want to feel luxurious, we want to feel free. So it's actually the feeling that you are chasing, and yet we end up just writing the outcome goal. So focus on writing down certain feeling based goals as well, as to how you want to feel. Okay, we started off with two words in the beginning, but you can expand that to writing a few more words around the goal. So if your goal is to travel, then how is that travel making you feel? Is it making you feel luxurious? Is it making you feel free? Is it making you feel abundant? So how that travel wants to be felt and experienced in your body is what you want to write down and what you want to remind your brain again and again. Okay, so again, the vision board course goes much deeper into this whole process, because it's not about just stepping into the new year, setting new goals, and then just waiting for it to happen. It's about stepping into a new version of you. It's stepping up into a new energy, where you feel differently, where you move differently, where you act differently. Now, another thing when it comes to writing down your goals is also to use identity based goals, where you are writing the goals from this sense of who you're choosing to become, not just from this place of what you want to achieve. Okay, so the question shifts from what do I want to who do I want to be. So, for example, it shifts from I want to lose weight to I'm becoming someone who honors her body and who takes care of her health, for example. Another example would be it changes from I want to earn more money to I'm becoming someone who receives money with ease. So, when you shift your goals from achievement focus to identity focus, it becomes rooted in your core essence. And then you don't really need motivation, you don't really need momentum to carry you forward, because now it's aligned with my energy, right? So if I create my identity as someone who takes care of her health, eating healthy and exercising just becomes a byproduct. I don't have to force myself, or I don't have to push myself to do it, because in my mind I am already someone who takes care of her health. So as a result of this identity, I need to be doing these things automatically, right? I'm not pushing myself to do these. So identity goals work because you can only take actions that align with the identity you have in your mind. They make you show up differently every day, not just on the days that you feel motivated. It is that shift from this is what I need to be doing to this is who I am. This is what I normally do. Okay, so you can force people to change their behavior, to change their actions and thoughts, but it will not change unless their identity changes, unless that essence, that core essence can shift. And another reason that this is actually a very beautiful thing to do is that this also really supports manifestation, because you're already showing up as this new version of yourself. You're already becoming that person who takes care of her health, who exercises, or who is receiving things with ease. So it helps with that as well. But again, I don't want to get too much into that, because that's a whole separate discussion. But that is basically about the process that I do, and I would also urge you all to do. And if you are interested in going deeper, you can always check out the Vision to Reality Starter course, because you want to ensure that you're stepping into the new year as a new person, as a new version of yourself, not the same person who you were in 2025. So I hope you do some aspects, or hopefully all aspects of this process, and do comment below how it felt, how it shifted things for you. And if you haven't yet, do comment the two anchor words of how you want to feel in 2026.